I think most of you know what I'm referring to in the thumbnail, but if you don't, I'll just remind you, okay? It was a summer night, June 1st, 2021, Game 5 of the first round series between the Portland Trail Blazers and the Denver Nuggets, and the NBA was set ablaze by a performance by a certain Damian Lillard, and what he ended up doing was a historical playoff record, 12 3-pointers in that game, playing 52 minutes in double overtime to score 55 points, but only to end up losing the game against the Denver Nuggets. Yes, you heard me right. Dame Dollar himself dropped 55 double nickels on these guys and still lost the game. I mean, how could that happen? And well, the Portland Trail Blazers knew exactly why that happened, and they tried to make sure to mitigate the situation so that next season they would make sure to win games when their best player is playing at that level. Now, of course, I'm talking about defense. The Portland Trail Blazers last season were at the bottom, okay, second to last in terms of defensive rating, meaning that the only way the Trailblazers won games was to literally just outscore the other team. Now, of course, you're looking at me weird because, like, that's the point of the game. You're supposed to outscore the team, but in Portland's case, it seems like they neglected that defensive end and they just tried to be the most powerful offensive team in the league, and they were second in terms of offensive rating, so I guess it evens out, right? But that's just not gonna cut it when you're playing teams that are in top 5 in terms of offensive rating, but then are in top 10 or even mid level in terms of defensive rating, and that's just going to keep happening if you don't fix the defensive end, if you don't make sure that your defense is set right. Now, during the offseason, they did get players like Larry Nance Jr. to where before they would have a player like Carmelo Anthony, and you have players like Enes Kanter, and now instead of having him, you have Cody Zeller. So in that aspect, you have a team that's being built to where the defensive end is being more emphasized, okay? And Chauncey Billups, he wants to make sure that this team plays much better defense. And over the first 5 games of this season, they were actually 8th in defensive rating. And that was mainly due to them playing at home. And as of November 11th, we see them playing very abysmal defense on the road. Actually, it's really bad. And it's gotten them to be 23rd overall in the defensive rating. And as of yesterday, they just won their first game on the road against the Houston Rockets, but that's not really a big achievement considering that the Houston Rockets only won 1 game out of 12, so it's not really much to say there. Portland has to play better on defense on the road, and they certainly do have better players now to play defensively, but they have a very undersized backcourt, and what I mean by that is that you have Anthony Simons at the backup, you have Norman Powell, and then you have CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard, and those guys are all 6'3" and under, and it's not gonna cut it when you have that many players in the backcourt playing against guys that are much taller in that same position, and it's really something that's going to have to be looked into if you're Portland, because I'll give you an example here. The Raptors, even though they have Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet as the main backcourt, you still have other players that can sub in, like Malachi Flynn and Delano Banton. And with Damian Lillard struggling right now to score points like he usually would, I think this is a great opportunity for the Blazers to actually hone in on their defense, knowing that Lillard is not there, CJ McCollum's not averaging as many points as last year, and you've lost Gary Trent Jr. at the offensive end, and now you have to rely more and more on your defense to win you games. And I think the Blazers, this is a prime opportunity for them to get things going on that end so that in the playoffs they can actually beat teams when Lillard is going off for 50 plus points.